Hello everyone, welcome to Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services. This is a video on daily news and editorial analysis, which I'll be covering from the Hindu and Indian Express. So the most important news and editorial of the day that is relevant for both prelims and mains examination for the civil services preparation will be discussed in this session. Let's get started with the news topic list. Today is 18th of November. The first important news, that is Supreme Court agrees to list the plea for Collegium system reviews, because there has been a lot of debate with regards to the Collegium system and the appointment of the judges. Second, Finance Minister asks the NIF to guide private capital into infrastructure. We'll see the detail about it and how the NIIF fund will help in augmenting the overall infrastructure in our country. Third, Vikram is India's first privately built rocket set for launch. Fourth, Global Threat Assessment Report on Rhino Horse. This is a detailed report that is published. We'll see the impact and how are the next course of action going to help in the population of rhinoceros. The last is an editorial weighing the PMKGY on the food green scheme. So this will be the editorial for the discussion of the day. Apart from the news and editorial discussion, at the end of this video, there will be MCQ based questions. These questions will be based on current affairs that will help you for the upcoming prelims examination. So without any further delay, let's get started. And before I begin this session, those of you who are new to our channel, do not forget to subscribe Apti Plus Academy for Civil Services on YouTube. If you like this video, if you find this video informative and helpful, do press a like button. Starting the session with the first news, that is SC agrees to list plea of Collegium review system, something important for General Studies paper 2 under the subtopic Structure, Organization and Function of Executive and Judiciary. So recently the Supreme Court of India has agreed to consider the listing of petitions against the Collegium system of appointment of the judges to the apex court and high court. So Collegium system की अगर बात करें, the appointment are made to the Supreme Court of India and even to the High Court of India, right? So High Court for the specific states. Now the move by the apex court was made day after the Union Law Minister for Justice said that public were not happy with the practices with regards to the appointment of the judges both in the Supreme Court as well as in the High Court. And these matters were mentioned for the urgent listing before the bench, which is headed by the CGI, that is the Chief Justice of India. So the CGI will be hearing the plea and will be coming to a conclusion to make people understand whether the appointment which is made under the Collegium system is transparent enough or not. Now, how does it work? If you talk about the Collegium system, it was introduced through a 9-judge bench judgment way back in 1993. And this system of appointment of the judges and the Collegium will recommend the name of the candidate to the central government. So initially, that was a due process that was followed for the appointment of the judges, both in the Supreme Court as well as in the High Court. Also, the central government will send the name of the proposed candidate for the consultations. And the appointment process takes a long time since it isn't fixed for the duration, and even the process how it has to be completed was not fixed, which has led to the delayed in the entire process. The Collegium resent the name of the judges to the government and has to give the consent to the name that was resent by the Supreme Court. तो ये इस तरह से प्रोसेस काम करती है. And the Collegium system faced a lot of criticism not only from the government but also from the civil society due to the lack of transparency and accountability. And it is also being argued that the judges are appointing the judges, right? So that was the level of and the bone of contention between the central government, the stakeholders, and even to larger extent the Indian judiciary. This has led to the 99 Constitutional Amendment Act for the appointment, basically for calling the formation of National Judicial Commission Act, that is known as NJAC, जो replace करती है Collegium system को for the appointment of judges. Although the central government has not taken the cognizance of this part to a larger extent or to just delete the things, but in actuality, in the ground reality, the National Judicial Commission was not formed. Now, if you look into the aspect of how does the NJAC versus the Collegium system, what is a major difference? This is very much relevant for the mains examination. If you're writing specifically in the mains paper, a direct analysis question can help you, right? So what is Collegium system? Collegium system is based on the three judges under it. Appointment of the judges are made for the Chief Justice of India and four most senior judges of the Supreme Court, and has no constitutional backing. The Constitution of India Article 124 has said that the appointment to be made by the President in consultation with the judges as President may deem necessary. And critics say that it has been a closed door system which lack transparency. So closed door system होने की वजह से इसके लिए काफ़ी ज़्यादा कंसर्न रेज की गई है. Now what is NJAC? NJAC is a body that is created to intend 2-decade-old Supreme Court Collegium system for the appointment of the judges. This was passed in Lok Sabha in August 2014, and also passed by the Rajya Sabha later on. Will consist of 6 people. This composition is very important for the prelims examination. The CGI, 2 senior most judges, law minister, and 2 eminent person. I'll tell you the detail about this as well in the later part of the video. The criticism says that the judges in the NJSC will need not support them, have a push through, and they will fear the independence being compromised. This is what the judicial fraternity has to say in this particular regard. Now, talking about the National Judicial Appointment Commission 2014, as I've told you in the beginning, there was a judgment of the Supreme Court in 1993, which was the basis for the 5-judge constitutional bench that has declared the National Judicial Appointment Commission Act as a constitutional, and this was like 99 Constitutional Amendment Act that was passed, right, in 2015. NJAC 2 removed the name of the appointment of judges from the Supreme Court and appointment of the transfer of the judges. Composition की बात करें, मैंने आपको पहले बताया, CGI, Chief Justice of India, 2 senior most judges of the Supreme Court, Law Minister of India, the Union Law Minister, and 2 eminent members that is chosen by the selection committee. Now, striking down the NJAC 2015 की जो verdict थी Supreme Court की, they have struck down the National Judicial Appointment Commissions and the constitution of the amendment 99 amendment जो की गई थी उसको quash किया, उसको basically they have struck it down, and leading to the revival of the collegium system in our country and with the same constitutional courts. The NJAC 2014 would have been accorded as a major role in executing the appointment of judges to the higher judiciary, and the apex court, that is the Supreme Court, on October 16, 2015 struck down the ambitious National Judicial Appointment Commission Act, which sought to replace the 22-year-old collegium system for the appointment of the judges. Now, क्या demand की गई है इस petition में? I'm explaining this news in detail to get you an in-depth about the concept because this is relevant for both prelims and mains examination, right? So you should have a thorough idea about that. So what is the demand in the petition that is filed before the Supreme Court? So the petitioner has sought the revival of the National Judicial Appointment Commissions, which briefly gave the government an equal along the judiciary, जहाँ पर appointment की बात की गई है judges को लेकर के, to the Constitutional Court, and it was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2015. The petition followed the recent verbal attack, basically attacked by the Law Minister as well, which has even said that the collegium system is opaque in nature. This is a statement that is coming from the Union Law Minister. The petitioner called that the collegium system is synonyms for nepotism and favoritism, and has said that the repeated representation of the center to evolve an alternative mechanism to the collegium system failed further deaf ears, promoting petitioner to approach the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Now, कुछ और countries की बात करें, we're talking about the other countries which already is practicing in terms of the appointment of the judges in lower court and high court and even for the topmost court. United States, the executive, that is the President of United States, has a power to appoint by and with the advice and consent with the legislation, that is with the Senate. Both Australia and Canada, it is the Governor General, that is the Prime Minister, who appoint the judges. The serving judges, including the Chief Justice of India, has no say in the appointment, right? And in no country the world do serving the judges exclusively to select the appointment of judges. Only this is specifically practiced in India. So that is the reason if you see the global practices, you can have a comparison for the United States, Australia and Canada, and even there are a lot more other examples. Now I've included the most relevant example that is important for the examination purposes. Now, this is what actually has happened. 1993 में कॉलेजियम सिस्टम की बात की गई, 2014 में पार्लियामेंट ने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अमेंडमेंट पास किया, 2015 ने जजेस ने बेसिकली सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसे स्ट्राइक डाउन किया, and these are the things that it has evolved. Now a petition has been filed in the Supreme Court before the Chief Justice of India to look into the matter. Now moving to the other news, Finance Minister asked NIF to guide private capital into infrastructure, something important for General Studies Paper 3, under the subtopic Indian Economy and Issues Related to Planning, Mobilization, Resource Growth and Development. Recently, the Union Finance Minister has asked the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, that is NIIF, to leverage India's attractive investment and fundamental to expand its operation. A leverage should be given so that the infrastructure development in the sector should be promoted. The finance minister has exhorted for the NIF team to expand and explore the opportunities of National Infrastructure Pipeline, PM Gati Shakti and National Infrastructure Corridor to include a big pool of investable greenfield and brownfield project that is there, right? So both this include the greenfield as well as the brownfield project. Greenfield project are the project that is done from the scratch. अगर आप ground से कर रहे हैं from the scratch, this is called as the greenfield. If you talk about the brownfield project, these are the project which are the renovated project, जहाँ पे काम already हो रखी है and a renovation is being made, that is called a brownfield project, or further a progress is made. She also asked the NIF to try to crown the commercial capital to this to explore the opportunities. The Governing Council also guided the NIF to undertake advisory activities provided to support central government and state government to create pipeline in the investment pool for the PPP projects. So public-private partnership is again a way out in the infrastructure development of our country. Now, first bilateral fund है ये, basically talking about the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund has proposed for setting up of the first bilateral fund between India and Japan. This will be known as India-Japan Fund with the contributions coming from the government, and it was signed a memorandum of understanding on November 9 with the Japan Bank of International Development. The MOU was signed recently on 9th of November 2022, and this key update regarding the bilateral engagement of NIIF was endorsed by the Governing Council of the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. Now, NIIF की अगर बात करें, which is stand for National Investment and Infrastructure Fund, is established in 2015 as an investment vehicle for funding the commercial viable greenfield and brownfield project, and also the stalled infrastructure project. The fund is mandated for the investment in areas such as energy. These are the core area upon which the work is done, that include energy, transportation, housing, water, waste management and other infrastructure related issues. Indian government की अगर बात करें, they are investing 49% on this, and the rest is this corpus is used in the third party investors such as sovereign wealth fund, insurance, pension fund, endowment, etc. Now, if we talk about the investment support, how it actually evolved, the finance minister has called for an urging, where we have discussed, you can conclude here. And NIF says that the two infra focus will be there with the NBFC unit that has a loan book for 26,000 crore rupees. And NIF made in bilateral fund involved MOU with the Japan Bank of International Development. And the finance minister has also called for leveraging the attractive investment for the fund to tap countries to keen invest in India. After China, where there's a lot of strict policy in the zero COVID policy, right? Many countries are looking forward for an investment to India and as an alternative to China. Vikram S, India's first private built rocket set for launch, something important for General Studies Paper 3, that is achievement of India in science and technology, Indianization of technology and development of new technology. India's first private rocket, that is Vikram S, is all set to launch on October 18. The rocket has been developed by the Skyroot Aerospace, which is based in Hyderabad. It's an aerospace private company that is looking forward with entire process to complete the procedures of the launching. Right, so this is how the thing will work. And if we talk about the launch, India will make its debut in manufacturing of the private entities in the aerospace sector. After leveraging this sector and opening to the private player, A triple P model, that is a public-private partnership, is possible in the space sector, which will definitely augment the overall sector and its performance and contribution to the Indian GDP. Now, what is Vikram S rocket? It's a single stage suboptimal launch vehicles which will carry the three customers payload, which will be test and validated technology, which will be there in the Vikram series for the launch vehicle. It is meant for nearly 80% of all the system that is processed before the launch of Vikram 1 scheduled for next year. The Chandana and Sky route could be said that there will be something they'll be doing with the missions and a short time only because it is invaluable support from ISRO and in space, that is a commercial arm of ISRO, which stand for Indian National Space Promotional and Authorization Center. Now, Prarambh mission, which also mean the beginning, Prarambh ka matlab hota hai to start, right? The mission is aimed to carry the three payload into space, including 2.5 gram payload, which will be developed by the student for several countries. And Prarambh mission and the Vikram mission rocket were developed by the Hyderabad-based startup, which will be working with the Indian Space Research Organization and InSpace to launch this spacecraft or this satellite. Now, there's a fun stat. Space Kids, this Chennai-based aerospace startup that will fully functions 2.5 kg payload that is developed by the student from India, United States, Singapore, Indonesia, and suboptimal flight on board with the Vikram S. Global Threat Assessment Report on Rhinoceros, something important for General Studies Paper 3, that is Conservation, Environmental Pollutions, Degradations, and EIA. According to the Global Threat Assessment Report presented at the Conventions for the Wildlife Conservation Agencies in the Panama City, there has been an increase in the rhinoceros horns after 2014 despite the overall reduction in the poaching. So this is something an astonishing fact coming from the agencies which called for a serious concern with regards to rhinoceros horns. The report is a prolific where the Vietnamese and Chinese criminals network are working and the encroachment of the horn is illegally there and the supply chain is globally active. A comprehensive analysis on the executive summary for the rhinoceros horn, that is trafficking and a form of transnational organized crime is taking place at global level, which was a main theme for the conference that has highlighted that the conservation on international trade and endangered species of wild and fauna sites were the organization which has actually organized it. तो concern raise की गई है और sites ने अपने तरफ से measures लिए, but it is very important for all other countries to look into the matter and stop the illegal poaching of the rhinoceros. Now, analysis was done to support the World Wildlife Fund for Nature, and even the World Wildlife Justice Commission has prepared that document with the rhino horn trafficking with the delayed, basically the decade for 2012 and 2021. So the complete 10-year report, a decade report was presented to understand how this illegal trading is taking place across the globe. The finding of the report, more than 7.5 ton of the rhinoceros were seized globally during the decade. An average shipment increased marked 2017 despite the rhino poaching across the Africa, and after the COVID-19 this has not stopped. It has although the number has already lapsed. This could indicate a greater involvement in the organized crime group as a larger volume and move to increase the profit margin per shipment. As per the report, 6 countries, that is the terrorists, have dominated the rhino horns, tracking the route and even the trafficking is higher side. अगर बात करें countries की 15 countries and territories have been implicated for the transnational crime. These countries include South Africa, Mozambique, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Special Alternative Region, Vietnam, and China. Now, criminal network of trafficking की अगर बात करें, as I've told you, prolific Vietnam and Chinese criminal has been reported with this. And even although Vietnam is known to have a primary destination for rhino's horn, investigation has indicated that the horn entering the Vietnam is sold to Chinese supplier and smuggling over China is taking place. It is overlanded and even the number is on the higher side. The analysis indicated that at least 974 kg of potential, one third of the seized horn globally originated from the theft and illegal sale, both privately owned as well as government owned, which held with the stockpile. तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा stocks मिली है, which is again a concern for the environment also and also for the biodiversity. Rhinos horns, the most frequently smuggled as a commercial airline as well. However, the modus operandi is shifted from a small shipment in passenger luggage to the large shipment by air cargo. If you see the global population of rhinoceros, these are the estimate. Earlier it was 21,000. Now this is 27,200. A 4 to 5 living rhinoceros has been saw in the number increase for the past 2 decades. But if you see the poaching level, that has increased by 9,300%. Earlier in 2007, this was just 13, which has now reached up to 1,215, which is a higher number. Now, state of rhinoceros 2020, if you look into the other important part, there's a IUCN status and concern with regards to white rhinoceros. It is decreasing and this is near threatened. This is the IUCN status of all the rhinoceros. Great one-horned rhinoceros, this is vulnerable. Black rhino, this is critically endangered. Java rhino, this is again critically endangered. And Sumatra rhino, this is again critically endangered. These are other pictures or the images to give you clarity. Sumatra rhinoceros, white rhinoceros, black rhinoceros, Java rhinoceros, and Indian rhinoceros. Now, weighing in on PMGKY, the free grain scheme. This is the editorial of the day, something important for general studies paper 2, under the subtopic welfare schemes for the vulnerable section of the population by the center and the state government. So what is the theme of this article? The theme is about the PMGKY and its beneficiaries and how the central government has augmented this to the next 2 to 3 months. We'll look into the background of this, the supporting the vulnerable communities need for a transparent study and the way forward. Recently, the central government has announced the extension of Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana for another 3 months till December 2022. This has started during the COVID-19 pandemic, right? It started during this pandemic and it has been extended till December 2022. The extension comes as a surprise for many reasons that the expert has noted. What are the reasons and what are the surprises? First is that the months prior to the latest extension was made in September. This was a debate about the relevance of the freebies, jahan pe even the Prime Minister has categorically said that the freebies should not be promoted. At this point of time, it was promoted, and even some argue that considering the fact that the election is overdue in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, that is the reason the government has taken a stand. But to a larger extent, criticism always prevail in the favorism of that, but we are not getting into deep down of that. We are more concerned about the latest issues that is there. The second, that the report in June that the expenditure department has said that the center did not favor citing the fund crunch, and it has also in the view that the scheme will no longer needed in the non-pandemic times. So this has been the view in context of the Russia's Ukraine war conflict ranging from February 2022, and it has an adverse impact in the world food supply and energy sector. So how government of India will improve this part will be again a great challenge. Supporting the vulnerable is the main aim of the government. The government intention and behind the extension of the scheme is to support the poor and vulnerable, estimated to be around 80 crores. The country had still to recover efforts from the first COVID-19 wave, which triggered the launch of the scheme and aimed at improving the additional allocations of the food grain from 5 kg, जो additional जितनी भी मिलती है उससे additionally में 5 kg और दी जा रही है through under the योजना, and priority household categories are also falling under the national food security. So in total of 35 kg that is being provided, and 5 kg additional for the priority household will be provided by the central government. This cover the direct benefit transfer beneficiaries as well, जिनको DBT की benefits मिल रहे हैं वो भी इसमें included है. Now, need for the transparent study, the central authorities should commission a study to make a finding public. Now, it is a time that the data that has already been guided with the central government should be shared and made to the public domain, so that the policy maker, the research people should also get the clarity on this. So just to do with the initial month of the pandemic, the center should consider providing 1 kg pulses free to state on a regular basis, at least for the highly subsidized rate. To keep the subsidy allocation under control, the rules on quota on rice and wheat has been changed suitably. And this is the right to provide food grain during the pandemic. The central and the state authorities will think over the scheme continuations given the chronic problem that is seen in the public distribution system. There is a loophole, there is a problem that currently exists with the PDS system in many states, specifically the states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. Now, what is the way forward? The eliminations of the problem of the diversity of the food grain has to be taken with the renewed vigor. And farmers told hard to field produce grain, many deserving person remain outside the food security net. The government may have the reasons for extending once again the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan scheme, but it cannot delay commissioning a study that should study and come up with the conclusions to help how this has actually helped, where we need to stop it, and whether helping stop the diversification of food grain and identifying the needy for the particular food. So the actual beneficiaries should also be benefited, and the actual beneficiaries should be given the government support so that they are actually being aided in their livelihood options. So this is the thing, a study is mandated in this particular regard. Moving to the MCQ questions of the day, before I proceed, just to tell you the answers of yesterday questions. For first question, the correct option is C. For second question, the correct option is C again. Today's MCQ for practice. First is the headquarters of United Nations Human Rights Council is located in Canada, Berlin, Geneva, or Brazil. You have to check for the correct option. Second is the OTT content in India is being monitored by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Law and Justice, and Ministry of Education. Right? So this is again an easier cakewalk question, but this is relevant for many other competitive examination. OTT and the new content rule and the platform has come up. So उस वजह से कई बार इस तरह के टॉपिक्स आपके एग्जाम के लिए रेलेवेंट है. This was all about for the daily news and editorial analysis followed by the MCQ questions. If you have any other concern, you can let me know. I'll be more than happy to assist you. For time being, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for watching this video.